What is up, guys? This is Theme Park Lunatic Friend speaking, but something came up. I am not feeling too good. I kind of lost my voice a little bit, so my voice is going to be a whole lot deeper than usual. But still, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite B&M Floorless coasters in America. There was one B&M Floorless coaster I got on, and it was not in America. It was called Superman La Atracción de Acero, located at Parque Warner Madrid, which is one of my favorite B&M Floorless coasters I've gotten on. But I am only counting down the Floorless coasters in America. At number 10, we have Patriot. This was a refurbished coaster. This used to be Vortex. Vortex was a B&M stand-up with 2 inversions, and it was not a good ride. Sure, the inversions are bearable. It is a tolerable ride, but I don't think it's great. But I was impressed in proving the ride. It was turned into a floorless coaster, but they need to add more inversions. It would be the least intense out of all the floorless coasters, and it is just really sad. I know it would still be a decent ride, but it will definitely not make it into my top 5. So this is why Patriot is number 10. At number 9 is Rougarou at Cedar Point. So this is another refurbished coaster. This used to be Mantis at Cedar Point. Mantis, I actually liked Mantis. It was actually a decent stand-up coaster. I didn't like it as much as Riddler's Revenge, but still, I did find the ride to be very forceless. Yes, Rougarou is a whole lot smoother. It was more enjoyable than Mantis. The color scheme was really good. And yes, I did find this ride to be very forceless. It is not very intense. The layout is decent, but I don't really think it is a very particular ride if you're into intense rides like Intimidator 305, though it's not a floorless, it was a Giga. But still, this floorless coaster, it's still a good one, but certainly not an amazing one. At number 8 is Batman the Dark Knight, located at Six Flags New England. And this is probably a very underrated coaster. I do find this ride to be forceless, but it's a little more intense than Rougarou in my opinion. The 0G roll was very forceful, but I didn't really had that much interest. The theming's okay, and it's still a pretty smooth ride, but the main problem with this ride is that the corkscrew was kind of shaky. Add a tiny little bit of a B&M headbanging part, not like Vekoma SLC type. It was just a tiny little rattle. But however, I find this ride to be enjoyable. I love B&M floorless coasters. I praise the crap out of these rides. And just like Rougarou, it's not an amazing ride, but it is still a fun and enjoyable ride. Very passable. Coming in at number 7 is the B&M floorless coaster. Most people say it was their least favorite ride. It is Dominator at King's Dominion. I think this roller coaster deserves a whole lot more praise. I find this ride to be really smooth, except for the first corkscrew. The first interlocking corkscrew was a little bit more shaky than the corkscrew at the Dark Knight. But however, it was very infamous for it was so well known to one of its biggest inversions on any roller coaster. Its vertical loop right after the drop is just amazing. and then they have this fantastically made cobra roll, and then suddenly it finally draws to this, the interlocking corkscrews. The first corkscrew was a little bit shaky, but the second one was a whole lot smoother than that other one. And this was the longest floorless coaster. And this is definitely not the best ride at King's Dominion, but it is one of my favorite rides at King's Dominion because it is so famous for its loop and its amazing cobra roll. But only one tiny little mishap. Certainly a really good one. At number 6 is Hydra at Dorney Park, which is my favorite ride at Dorney Park. So most people prefer Talon, but still. Hydra, to me, is probably the most unique out of all the B&M floorless coasters. They have this Heartline roll right after they dispatch the ride. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Still, they had this Heartline roll, and then they get into the lift hill. And then this small drop happens, and then you go through an overbank curve, and then a 0G roll, and then a few other different inversions. This roller coaster is so unique. To me, this one had to be a floorless coaster that had a particular layout that stood out probably the best out of any floorless coaster. Its layout is really strong, and it is a really smooth, enjoyable ride, and I did really like the comfortable restraints, and the color scheme could have used a little more. Yeah, this ride needs a little bit of a repaint, but still, I actually still find this ride to be quite entertaining for other coaster fanatics to enjoy. Now we're getting into this real floorless stuff. At number 5 is Scream at Six Flags Magic Mountain. And this is a very underrated roller coaster according to most coaster fanatics when they count down the roller coasters at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This was my third favorite at the park. I find this ride to be really smooth because they repainted this ride. The color scheme is just perfect. The color scheme is like a fresh coating of dark blue. And yes, this ride gotten a whole lot smoother and more intense. And my goodness, these corkscrews just rip my arms off in a very good reason. And they have like a 128-foot vertical loop after the drop. Though this is kind of a bizarro type of... This is a type of clone. It has the same layout as Bizarro, but still. It is a very fun, interesting ride with fantastic inversions and a very intense moment of a 0G roll. Yeah, the 0G roll was fun too. And number 4 is Medusa, located at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. This roller coaster rocked. My goodness. And what's the really good reason why it was so high on this list? The drop is a whole lot unique than the other models of the B&M Floorless. This drop actually, like, right after the hill, it just curves you to the side, and then you go a little straight, and then suddenly the drop occurs. And it's pretty steep. And then you go through the loop, and then dive loop, then you go through the 0G roll. Yeah, then the Cobra roll, but the Cobra roll is really unique. Yeah, there was a different name for that thing. It's still, this is a very unique coaster, according to all the different coasters. Not as unique as Hydra, but a particularly fun, interesting roller coaster. And I was probably surprised at the most of all of these. This was my second favorite floorless coaster, but when I got on Superman, Krypton Coaster, and Kraken, I finally thought to myself. Anyway, Superman Krypton coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This was Taylor's favorite Floorless coaster. Taylor from Coaster Studios, giving a shout out to you. You're awesome. Never stop making videos. Anyway, Superman Krypton coaster is a really intense roller coaster, and I do really love the visuals of this ride. And you're at like a terrain type of layout, which is pretty insane. And when you're looking at an off-ride POV, there was a picture of a Superman action figure on top of the vertical loop, which is really cool. Man, I'm not feeling good at all. Anyway, this is a really interesting roller coaster. The loop is around the 140-foot mark. And then suddenly you go through an overbank curve where you go through this like mountainous part. Then a zero-G roll appears, and then you go through a cobra roll. And then here comes the mid-course brake run. Then suddenly you go through interlocking corkscrews just like Dominator. And they're a whole lot smoother than the ones that Dominator had. This is a really amazing roller coaster. I really wanted to ride this one again and again and again. Yeah, the top three was really hard for me to choose. Still, I apologize for sounding like Billy Mays with laryngitis. Still. Okay. Number 2, we have Kraken at SeaWorld. Kraken was, man, this is a massive coaster. This was my favorite ride at SeaWorld, but when I got on Mako, it was a little bit better. Mako got better than Kraken. But suddenly, Kraken is still an intense roller coaster with a really fun drop, really nice inversions, and I do really love the dive right after the corkscrew. Go through this underground tunnel, and then there was some different visual where you're about to go through another vertical loop. The theming is pretty good, and I do really love the color scheme. What is not to like Kraken? But coming in at number 1, which will surprise a few of you, Bizarro, located at Six Flags Great Adventure. This roller coaster is amazingly done. I really love the execution. The theming is perfect. And I really love the visuals of this ride. And I really love the smoke and fire. Well, you're about to go through like some spraying. Water just spews all over you right after the drop. And then you go through a vertical loop. And then smoke and fire appears while you're on the ride. And when you're about to go to the zero-G roll, it's close to the entrance, which is really nice. And out of all the Bizarro models, which was only like Scream and Medusa's a little bit similar, still, this one ended up being the most unique. Sorry, the most fantastic, the most well done layout. Medusa was the more iconic, but Bizarro was more famous with its amazing paint scheme and fantastic inversions. I just praise this ride. I praise this ride with a cleansing passion. Oh, I am sorry. I am speaking out too much. I am misspeaking way too much because my voice cracks a lot. Because I am feeling pretty badly. Still, I do praise the bleep out of Bizarro and all of these other roller coasters. They really mean the world to every single coaster fanatics. And if any of you are new to roller coasters, please try any of these roller coasters. I am so sorry for annoying all of you with my obnoxious coughing, but still, I am just feeling pretty sick. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.